What's going on, YouTube land? It's Paul the Barbarian here. Hanging out with my buddy CJ, member of the Baltimore Huns and the Wheel of Pain. Also the main proprietor and the armorer up here at Iron Crab Metalworks. I figured we'd take a session to sit down, eat a gigantic steak, and talk about armor. What an armorer wants to know from a customer or somebody looking to get into the sport. Armor is the most important thing. It's the hardest hurdle to get through, right?
Absolutely. It's most expensive. It's probably the most stressful, honestly.
It's the hardest thing to get yourself into the sports. You can go to practice, you can do the thing, but armor is one of the hardest things to get into. So I figured we sit down, we have a discussion. We're gonna eat that steak. And I want to know from an armorer's perspective and their mindset, what do you want your customer to know when they come to you to get armor? I mean, it's an important thing. I just figured put some more information out there.
Yeah, so tonight, guys, we're going to go over a couple things, touch on a few main points. Biggest things going to be measurements. Then we're going to try to talk to you about kind of having an idea of what you're walking into so that you can have a good conversation with us and we can get to the meat of what you're looking for. Going over.
How about getting to this meat guy?
Oh man, that meat looks good.
God.
Then we're gonna go over, some more things. Big concern people have is gaps, so we're gonna touch on gap coverage and everything like that. And then we're gonna go over materials and stylistic elements as well. So
what's point number one? What do you want to know?
First thing on every armorer's mind is measurements. You've got to have good measurements, and it doesn't just stop at having good measurements. Most of the time we like to have you, or failing to have you, we want to cast to that body part that we're in. Don't mind him. We want to cast to that body part that we're working on. First thing with measurements, if you're not sure of what we're asking for, ask us. If you don't know what point on that body we're talking about, tell us. We'll send you a picture pointing to it on ourselves or a diagram showing it on you. Oh yeah, give me that.
So I'm going to make sure I put down in the description below. There are several different templates that armorers use and different tailors use for taking measurements, and it'll actually have lines and show you where they want to do stuff and everything else like that. One of the main things you said was dynamic movement, and actually understanding we're moving around this armor, we're fighting folk in it. So you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to try and do everything under the damn sun. You're going to damn well do somersaults in it basically for the amount of movement that you make. So you want to be able to take those measurements, and you're always taking measurements with a stressed muscle, right?
Yeah, always we want the muscles flexed. We want them as tight as possible, as big as possible. Fabric oftentimes stretches. Metal doesn't stretch. We're encasing your body in steel. We want to make sure that you can get that full range of motion. You can get that full flexation of your muscles while wearing our gear. So big thing on there is, again,
you see how this is bent. This is primarily where your leg sits. This is actually a cast of my leg. He took it and cast it where my leg was bent, so you would actually understand where the articulation would be on the leg itself. So that's kind of what he's talking about for doing casts and dynamic movement. I mean, that's basically what your leg does all the damn time. So.
Yeah. So when you're casting a body part for anyone, you want to go above and below the part you're actually casting. Or getting made. So you've agreed if you want to go down to the ankle, as you can see there, and above the knee, just so you have that full figure to really work with. That gives us the perfect substitute for having you here in the shop with us. Paul looks like he might be preoccupied over there.
I'm having a moment.
The other thing that we gotta stress, very, very important, is to make sure that when you're taking measurements, you're wearing everything you fight in.
Gambeson, knee braces, elbow braces, everything under the sun that you expect to be fighting in. I wear knee braces. I wear padded shorts. Put them on, put your chausses on, put your gambeson on. You kind of want to have your soft kit before you're getting into your full steel kit anyways. It's the first thing you really should be buying. I put up a whole video about that before. So that's a really important thing, because if you don't do that and you order something and they get the measurements for your bare leg, they're going to make it for your bare leg. You're not going to have all that extra room to be able to fit your gambeson in. It's not going to move right. It's not going to fit right.
Yeah, so exactly what Paul said. There's not really much else to say on that matter. Just when you're taking measurements, you want to make sure that you're not super tight. You don't want to be choking your arm out like you're not applying a tourniquet. You want it to be snug but not tight. Again, we're trying to make gear that fits you well, but still moves with your body. If it's too tight, it's not going to move, it's going to bind, it's going to constrict. Alternatively, if it's too loose, it's gonna do the same exact thing. It's gonna bind and constrict your movement because it's gonna interfere with other pieces of armor. On that subject, if you want something to fit looser, don't add to your measurements. Talk to us. Let us know that you want this piece of armor to be a looser fit than normal. That way we can account for it on our end and make those changes without necessarily affecting the overall measurements you're giving us. Because a lot of times we're using those measurements to lay out your body. And once that body's laid out, then we'll make the templates and go from there. If you're adding things to that, it's going to give us basically a false image of your body. Do you have anything else to add on measurements here?
I mean, not really. You should eat this piece of meat, though. That's delicious.
It's a good chunk of steak.
I can't wait to eat the bone. The whole bone.
The whole thing?
The whole bone.
It's going to be gnawing on it all night.
I will be. It's so big. Double entendre. What's the next thing you want to know?
Next thing that can really be a big benefit to us when you're coming to us to get your armor made is having at least a rough idea of what you're looking for. You know, we're not expecting everyone out there to be a historian, to be a researcher, and to have everything mapped out, all their historical references, everything like that.
The main thing that I brought up several times in most of my videos is it determines how much that you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So you have to do the research and actually spend the time to double check and see what you actually want in a suit of armor. That means going and looking at pictures of tournaments, going to look at historical books. There are several different collections of armors between the different metropolitan museums, between Philly, New York
City. Those are the two big ones. Wade Allen, Allen Antiques, has a very, very nicely put together collection, private collection on his website. We'll link everything in the description below. And then if you're looking for a little earlier time period, the Chronicles by Frosiard, or Gene Frosiard, has a lot of really good illustrations in it. Most of them are available on, not Pinterest.
Imager?
Yeah, it's one of the photo sites online. Again, we'll link to it in the description, so you can find those pretty easily. Again, not actual production work, but illustrations from the time period of battles that you can use as very, very good references for all kinds of different armor.
It's a big thing that we run into is that people start asking around for fantasy armor. They see something that looks really cool in a movie or something like that, and they're like, that looks awesome, I want that kind of thing. And they get this mindset on it. I mean, realistically, your job is to make the dream come true. I mean, we're all into this sport with the idea that we want to put on armor.
We're more than happy to make you those fantasy-esque armor sets that fulfill those wild, wet dreams you have of wearing armor and storming the castle and fighting with elves. But we're also going to be here to remind you that in order to compete in our sport, especially internationally, you got to stay historical.
The international organizations have a serious stickler about historical accuracy. That's what it was based upon when Botan started. And it's a really important thing to them, and they make sure that they put out like announcements, and they're going to ask for pictures of your armor without a tabard on and go, hey, what's wrong and what's right about your suit? They get real stickler about it, and they're going to tell you that you can't compete if it looks like not right. There are ways to sport optimize a suit to make it fit the historical framework, the guidelines that they want, and make it look like the piece, but it's also built differently inside. It means the outside looks. They're not going to take your whole like chest armor off and go, oh, let's look at the plate placement. If it looks the part, it looks historical, they're going to be down with it. Sport optimization is a thing. There are several different armors that are playing around with that. Most of the Eastern European stuff is all being sport optimized as well. And that's really just kind of combining plates or putting plates in a little bit different configuration to
changing the shape of some things.
Yeah.
You got to remember that our sport is protecting against blunt force trauma 90% of the time, whereas armor historically was more for preventing stabbing. So a lot of the shapes and stuff that you see historically aren't going to be as ideal for what we do, or in some cases it's overprotection.
Yeah.
So a lot of the armors nowadays, you'll see them kind of optimizing things for movement, for protection, weight savings, and just generally trying to make it a little bit more competitive.
Yeah.
Give you that little competitive edge.
I will say that we have a little list of notes down here that we keep looking at back and forth. One of your things says, what's most important to you? I mean, weight, protection.
So, starting out the sport, this is kind of a hard question to answer a lot of times. But it's kind of important to know what you see yourself fighting as. Do you see yourself as the tank sitting there in the center field, taking hits and holding people still while your teammate does their job and basically knocks them out, knocks them over? Do you see yourself running around the field, being agile and fast, kind of looking for those opportunities that your teammate's setting up? How heavy are you comfortable with your armor being? Like, if you're a guy that has tons of strength, tons of endurance, and you can shoulder that extra weight, you can get some stuff that's seriously protective.
I mean, you can look at the difference between me and CJ sitting here. I can put on a lot more armor than CJ does, and it takes a lot more armor to cover my body. He likes to run around a lot more, but he also still takes some serious punishment at times just because you have to be prepared for it. So you don't want your armor under-engineered to deal with the blows you're taking, unless it's a single suit. Single suits, whoa. We can make that thing weigh 20 pounds and not give a crap.
Jack chains.
Oh, jack chains. Jackie up chains.
I saw someone at Worlds wearing jack chains.
Dude, fuck that.
Yep,
No.
It was sword and buckler, but still.
Sword
and shield.
Sword and shield, that's fine. No, melee jack chains? Get
No.
fucked, guy. That's not how it's going. That's not my life. I've been hit too many damn times.
So another thing that I want to say is if you have taken the time to look at some different armors and you have an idea of what you're looking at, have some pictures for us. Bring pictures to the table. Again, we'll work with you. We'll help you dig through those historical sources. We have a lot of references here at the shop, and there's a lot of stuff available online, especially if you know where you're looking. But if you have something to show us from the get-go, it's going to make this whole process so much easier and so much faster.
If you take the 2 steps to start and come to them a little bit more prepared, they will make the job exponentially easier. He doesn't know everything. They don't know everything about every suit of armor and every style of armor that's out there. Nobody really can. There's too many damn things through the transitional period.
And there's so much stuff that's not documented.
I know, and it's a thing.
So, all kinds of things. Literally, too many things for any one person to know, unless you spent your whole life literally studying it.
But at the same time, if you come to this completely like bare bones, like you've been to a practice, you want to try it out, you want to look at some stuff, and you just go, hey, what's a good suit of armor? They'll be able to point you in a direction.
Absolutely. One thing that we got to add to this section is having an idea of your price range too.
Yeah.
Coming in and wanting a set of Gothic armor, you got to know that you're gonna be spending a lot more money than a coat of plates or something like that. So have an idea of what your price range is, and being realistic in it is huge.
Yeah.
Again, we're gonna help you, guide you through that process, and kind of work with what you want out of your armor to kind of get you the best bet for the money you want to spend.
Still a business.
Yeah.
Still a business. And we want to, and you want to make sure that you're fair to them, because if you try and jack them around, you can just ask. If you're gonna try and jack them around, I mean, you're just gonna get poor quality stuff, or they're just not gonna make anything for you. So that's kind of where we're at. What's that next one? What's that next one?
Oh man.
Oh god.
Gaps.
You can't armor everywhere. Can we stop? Okay, look, it's a fighting sport. We're here to get hit. It's gonna happen. Armpits happen.
Yeah, they suck.
Life.
They suck. It's life, but it's life.
Yeah, that makes it tougher. I tell you what. So you can't armor everywhere, and that really comes down to weight versus mobility. If you start adding in all kinds of different voiders and everything else like that, and your armpits and your elbow pits and everything else like that, it's really going to weigh you down and stop you from being the most effective fighter that you can be. Do understand that your arms move. When you get hit in the arm, it has enough room to move. It's not like you're solid set getting hit in the chest kind of thing. That allows it to lose force. You don't really, like, if you get hit there, you're going to move your arm immediately. It's going to happen.
Yeah, your body pretty much moves with the blow. There's very few times, even torso shots.
Yeah, I mean, you still kind of move.
As soon as that hits you, especially if it's a good shot, you're going to move.
You're going to be in
so, like, you're going to get hit, you're going to bruise. It is a combat sport.
Yeah.
You should, if you're worried about getting hit, you probably shouldn't be doing this. Again, not saying safety isn't important.
Yeah.
And some concerns are valuable.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a chronic broken bone somewhere that's been
You got
injured
a
multiple times,
you got a bad elbow pit, or you got bad ribs or something like that. You want something extra put on there? Just tell the guy. That's how problems get fixed. You bring up the information and you bring it to them, and they're gonna go, okay, we can fix that. We can help that. Whatever they can do, they're gonna do their best by you, because you're the one walking into a blender wearing their stuff.
Yeah.
So they're not gonna try and make you poor quality stuff like from the get go.
Yeah. So again, just realistic expectations there.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to be armored everywhere, we can make it happen. We can find you those historical references. I think Henry VIII had some serious suits of armor, but they were over 100 pounds, I believe, or close to.
He was on a horse. That's why. Like, you just get shot by 9mm and just laugh at him, but at the same time, it'd be terrible. So, okay. We'll go over the rest of your little list on the next episode of Sitting with a Blacksmith. I want you to take a pic down in the description. Hit up Paul the Barbarian on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all that junk. Ironcrab Metalworks is on Instagram and Facebook. They have great quality product. I mean, he's made everything here. Does the gym jams and everything. Look at it go! Check us out. Get a like, subscribe, do whatever you want, share it around. All good.
If you got questions, make sure to reach out. Again, we're happy to help. We're happy to guide you through the whole process. Even if you don't end up buying from us, we are happy to help you get into this sport, as it is our love.
I mean, yeah.
This is what we love to do.
Damn right.